Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then for another match preview on the channel. And this weekend, Leicester City take on another tough test in high flyers Fulham, you'd say, going into this game. Fulham, you know, the visitors, they seem like a bit of a bogey side for us at the minute if you look at our previous meetings. And the Foxes, of course, this is a real vital game this weekend for the Foxes where they've got to get something out of this game, to be honest. It just feels at this moment in time a real make or break for Ruud van Nistelrooy's side as the relegation battle goes on. And how do we go and pick ourselves up after that defeat against Crystal Palace in a real must-win game on Wednesday night, which we failed to do so again. And 6 defeats in 6 in the Premier League going into this game for the Foxes. And, we've got to respond with a vengeance, you know. So, hopefully we can go and get something. But I'm going to be joined by Russ from Cottage Talk. He's going to give me the lowdown on Fulham. Dawn, how are you? Hope you're good. Beat Fulham once in the last 5 at the KP. Very good stat there, Tony, mate. Didn't really know much about that one, mate, but it's good to see that you've got your stats ready for me. It won't be triple captains. Happy Friday. It's all about we win a game. Forgot about Wednesday. We need to win a game. It might change everything. Yeah, this is it. Well, everyone lost a game, didn't they? In midweek, Ipswich, Everton, Wolves, Leicester, Southampton. We all lost. Only can see another loss, unfortunately. It just don't look like we can compete, does it, to be fair? And I don't think we've got enough, if I'm honest with you. But, the transfer window's still open, about 2 weeks left. Any truth to say Rudkin's on holiday? Well, his bloody bloke's always on holiday, whether it's transfer business or not. Guys, as always, hit that like button before we get on to the match preview then. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed already. Please get down and do so. And let's get Russ Goldman in from Cottage Talk. Russ, how are you, my good friend?
Jack, it's good to see you. It's been a little bit, but I'm happy to do this preview again.
It's been a while, Russ, since we last spoke, mate. 2024, just before we visited the cottage. Obviously, you guys come out very good trumps in that game. 2-1 win for you lot on the day. Russ, before I let everybody know regarding the match preview and what we're going to do, let everybody know where they can find you and what you do at Cottage Talk, Russ.
Sure. So if anyone's interested, please do check out Cottage Talk. You can check out the X account for Cottage Talk. You can also, on any podcast app, you can Cottage Talk. We will have a post-match show. I also have a Cottage Talk Patreon page where I'm doing preview shows. I'm doing all kinds of extra material that's exclusive on the Patreon page. But if you're still looking for the show itself, the post-match show is on any podcast app you can find. So please do check that out. Like I said, also check out the Cottage Talk X account. Please subscribe to the Cottage Talk YouTube channel. I'm trying to build that up. You're doing an excellent job, Jack. I'd like to get to where you are. I'm far behind. But so if anyone's interested, please do like and subscribe to the Cottage Talk YouTube channel. I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, go and check out Russ if you're a neutral and you just love football in general. Go and check out what Russ is doing. He does a great job following Fulham. Obviously, they're on a very good high at the minute, Russ. Before we go on to the game, Russ, talk to me about the opposition. Fulham, 10th in the Premier League. You said to me in 2024 that you would be very happy with Europe. Is Europe a real possibility with Fulham this season under Marco Silva?
Well, this has been a roller coaster ride talking about Europe. At times during the season, I would tell you absolutely we are there. I predicted 7th to begin the season. So I went out on a limb and I said, okay, 7th, because I'm thinking, let's get into Europe. Let's get there. I want to see progression. I saw the players that they added. But unfortunately, what's interesting about Fulham, and it does play a factor, I think, in this match against Leicester City, is that we've been playing much better against the teams that are above us, around us, and the teams below us we've actually struggled against. And I think part of that has to do with us having the ball and trying to break down teams. We have struggled to do that. Even against West Ham, we lost to West Ham. You talked about all the teams that lost recently. We lost Tuesday night to West Ham, dominated for the first 30 minutes, make an error in the back, 1-0. Making another error in the back, 2-0. Kept coming back, another error, 3-1, and then eventually it ends 3-2, and we had a chance to get a draw at the very end, but it didn't come to fruition. But the one thing that I've noticed about my club, and I told you this off air, is that I look at a team like Nottingham Forest, and I don't see them as being superior to my club. We beat Nottingham Forest. However, they are finding ways to win, and Fulham are finding ways to draw. And that's the difference. That really, I know it's simplistic to say, but Fulham are leaking too many goals, making too many errors, and that's what's leading to these draws. They can score goals, but they're giving up way too many goals and too many unforced errors. As you know, I'll use a tennis term, way too many. And if you press Fulham, you can cause issues with them. And I saw that against West Ham.
Yeah, bloody hope Leicester can do that on Saturday, Russ, to be honest, mate. We caused Palace problems in the first half. We just don't take our chances. We get punished. But you know how pivotal the Premier League is, Russ, when you come up and it's a very punishing league, isn't it? You know, some would call it very deceiving league, but it is pivotal. You take your chances in the Premier League, isn't it, Russ, when you need to win games?
Absolutely. And it's funny because, like I said, we had these matches that were on the fixture list coming up, and we're looking in January, and we're looking at, obviously, the Leicester City match. We're looking at Southampton in December. We're looking at even Bournemouth and thinking we can beat Bournemouth at home, and we're drawing these matches. And then the West Ham thing was really just a kick in the stomach because on paper, and I'm just telling you the way that the match played out, this was more to do with Fulham mistakes.
I tell you what, I think we're full of mistakes, for us, to be honest. I thought you were talking about us and not Fulham. Russ, talk to me about your key players this season. Who's been your most standout players, would you say, for Fulham?
Okay, so if you asked me at the beginning of the season, I thought that the player I'd be talking mostly about to you, Jack, would be someone like Emile Smith-Rowe. But he's not that player right now. I'll just put that aside. The player that has emerged as, I would say, Fulham's player this season, there are a few. I could talk about Anthony Robinson, Sasa Lukic. Those would be two others. But the main man right now is Alex Iwobi. Alex Iwobi has stepped up his game, and he's been Fulham's best player. To be honest with you, I thought that maybe he was tiring out a little bit because his performances were dipping a little bit, but his level has been so high. And then he scored 2 goals against West Ham. They were really more of I would call them assists, but they gave him the goal because Jimenez did not get his foot on it. And same thing with Harry Wilson. It looked like he was just assisting, but they went in the back of the net. But he is setting up Fulham for success. Unfortunately, he's not getting enough help right now. And I'm talking about the players that I think are key, especially in this match against your team. I would look right at Lukic as your defensive midfielder. I would look at Jedi as your left back. And especially I would look at Iwobi, who I think will be on the left. So mattering on what Marco decides to do, that's the player that I would be most concerned about.
Before you obviously lost 3-2 to West Ham, you was unbeaten in 8 in the Premier League. Talk to me how much of a confidence boost that is, and how do Fulham now get back on track after that West Ham defeat? Do you see more of a response from Fulham, or because the last time before you lost to West Ham, you lost to Wolverhampton Wanderers? I think it was at Craven Cottage 4-1. So, how do you think Marco Silva now needs that response from his team?
Well, what's interesting is that, and again, this is just my opinion, but I have a feeling that you're going to see an extreme response. I'm not saying that Fulham are going to go to the King Power Stadium and destroy Leicester City. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that he is going to get a reaction out of them. The players are going to want to show that that's not who they are, because unfortunately,
like you, Tony,
that they've been playing well, but like I said, they've been playing well enough to get a point, but not well enough to get all 3 points, except for, listen, they beat Brighton Hove Albion. You guys know how good they are, and Fulham beat them. The big one was beating Chelsea. I thought that was the match that would change the season, and unfortunately, then we reverted to type. But I think that the issue that Fulham are having is that when they were starting to go in a positive direction, and when you have a squad size, the way Fulham are built, they don't have enough depth. And when they start getting injuries, and that's what we've been running into, you now have issues. And we're seeing it right now, because I think at full strength, Fulham can play with anyone. But right now they have a few injuries that I'm not saying are holding them back. I'm just saying that they're not what they could be if they were at full strength. And I think it's showing itself.
Rossi, LCFC 1993. He asked you a question, Ross, about Timothy Castagna. Obviously,
that's a great question. That's a fantastic question, because I will tell you this, that on my podcast, before the season began, me and my co-host, Tony Gold, would talk a lot about Timothy Castagna. We're big fans of Castagna. Yeah. But what ended up happening to him was he was coming back from the summer, and to be honest with you, you had Kenny Tete was already in place, and he took the position away from him while Castagna was away. Castagna got his position taken away for no reason except that Tete basically took it away from him. He played well, and then he's continued to play well. Now, what's interesting is that I think these two players are even, but they're different. I have always preferred Castagna. So in a way, Tete is out long term. So now you got Castagna back. And I like what Castagna offers. I think he's not as good going forward. I think he's better defensively for us. So I'm a big fan of his, and I don't think he's done much wrong so far.
Yeah, Castagna was a real steady player when we signed him.
Steady would be the best word to describe.
He scored a few good goals, Castagna at Leicester. You know, but it weren't really great in the last season before he left, to be honest. And
should I ask you about Bobby Decordova-Reid?
Yeah, go on. You can ask me about Bobo Decordova-Reid. I mean, I've got a player to ask you about after.
No, I'm curious how he has done. I'm not going to lie. I really have not followed him since he left Fulham and went to Leicester City.
I think with Bobby, he's not a starter. You know,
I could have told you that.
He is somebody you can bring off the bench sometimes and impact a game. But yeah, I mean, his best probably time at Leicester is got to be since he signed his last minute goal against Brighton to earn us a 2-2 draw. So I don't think he's been the best. I just don't think we've seen the best of him at Leicester. I mean, he's had a few stints, but he runs around. You know, he puts the yards in, but I just don't think he's at the level that we expect, you know, like the standards. He's just not there.
I get it.
On a free, I don't think you can complain, but if you spent bloody £5 million on him or something like that, then you'd start to consider, well, what a waste of money or something like that. You know what I mean?
He's a good player to come off the bench. That's the best way I would describe him. And he can play several positions. He's just not someone that you should be starting each and every match. Just not.
No. Bobby Reed is laid back, no sense of urgency. That's what Terry says about him.
Okay.
Would you agree with that in his time at Fulham, Russ, when he was at Fulham?
I wouldn't say that at Fulham, to be honest with you. I thought that he did play with some urgency. I just think that I think he's limited in what he could do. He's, in a way, different than Castagna. I would say steady, but I don't think that he's as talented. And I think when you are starting a player like Bobby Decordova-Reid, that tells you that you're just not good enough. That's the way I look at it, because he shouldn't be starting for your side. No. He shouldn't have been starting for Fulham. Maybe in spurts, coming off the bench, but not starting. And when I saw him go to your team, I'm thinking he's not going to be starting for Leicester City, is he? Because that's just not the level that he's at, Jack.
No. Someone called it a rugby masterclass, bringing Bobby Decordova-Reid to Leicester. I thought we'd go for more quality players. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
when Steve Cooper came in, I thought you bring more quality in the squad. I just don't think Bobby Decordova-Reid's that. Maybe top championship level type of player.
Exactly.
In the Premier League, I just don't think he cuts it. He's a squad player, as Armchair says. He's a real squad player, but does he offer more than what we've got at the minute regarding what Bill Notti offers, El Knus and them types of players? Then I'd say no. They offer a lot more. So I think it's just been difficult for him to get really into the team, and I can see why, to be fair, because a lot more players are better. But when we've had obviously the injury to Fatu, and now he's obviously come off the bench a few times to play on the wing and that, but I just don't think his influence is what I'd wanted to see from him, Russ, to be fair. Talking to Fulham fans, they said, do you know what? You've got a very capable player on your hands who could really add something to the team, but I think I'm yet to see that from him. Couldn't turn it down for his age. Leicester-like players to put a shift in. Played once more than Edouard. I mean, we're not going to talk about Edouard, but talk to me about Calvin Bassey. He come through our academy. I think we then went and sold him to Ajax. How good has Calvin Bassey been, and how has he settled in at Fulham, Russ?
I think he's been very good, Jack. And I think Fulham got a good deal when they brought him in over a season ago. I think he's been with Fulham for a year and a half now. And I will just tell you that the interesting conundrum Fulham have right now is that Calvin Bassey has solidified himself as your left center back. Fulham are now struggling to figure out who's going to be his partner, because we brought in Joachim Andersen and we had Issa Diop before, and we were thinking we were upgrading with Anderson. We had him before on loan, but it hasn't really worked out that way. So I would say that Calvin Bassey, it's funny because I think that every once in a while, not every match, I would say, every once in a while, you could see some nervousness playing the ball out from the back. I saw that at the beginning of the season, but since the beginning of the season, he shows serious confidence, basically pushing the ball forward. When we played three center backs, what was fun about watching him is that he got the liberty to go forward, and he almost scored against Chelsea. I'm not kidding you. And it was a rocket. And I'm like, what is he doing? And he almost scored. And I will just tell you, I'm a big fan of Bassey. He is a keeper. He is one of the first names on the starting 11 that Marco must be putting down. He has been very good. So I will give you a very positive review of Calvin Bassey.
Fantastic. Let's get on to the game at the KP then. A vital game for Leicester. I mean, this was one of two big games for the Foxes this week at home, where we had to make home advantage count over both games and really start picking up the points. I'm going to give you some stats in a minute regarding this game, but Leicester failed to win against Crystal Palace, conceded more goals, and I just don't think we've got enough in the team at the minute regarding the standards that we want to play at, and we're just not giving it. But Leicester take on Fulham, a tough side, of course, but it's one that we've got to. It just feels this game is a real make or break for us, Russ. But What's your initial thoughts on Leicester? Obviously, we spoke about us last time before we lost 2-1 at the Craven Cottage. But what has been your initial thoughts on Leicester since then?
Well, if I'm being honest with you, I actually think that you're underperforming. Now, I'm not watching you each and every match. I'm not really into what's going on at the bottom of the table. But if I look at it and look at the players that you have, and listen, you made the change of manager. I thought you would get that new manager bounce. You know, most teams get that.
Yeah.
You have Ruud van Nistelrooy, and I thought that would be your way back into this. I still think that you're involved. So for me, I think that you still have a shout to get out of this. And I think it's a matter of a decision that's going to have to be made sooner than later on him again. I hate to go talking about changing a manager again, but at some point you're going to have to get results. Like you've already talked about how many matches you've lost back to back to back to back to back. There've been a lot of losses there, but I wouldn't give up hope yet. I don't think that you're there yet. Listen, I watched Fulham in the same exact position in 2007, 2008 season. There was no difference. And they had the right manager in Roy Hodgson, brought them together, and they stayed up, and that's known as the Great Escape. I wouldn't give up hope yet, but you need to start getting results.
Yeah, this league's it's tough. But if you make it even tougher on yourselves, it's going to be even harder to stay up for me. I guess it's a little positive that every other team lost around us.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, you've got to be picking points up against Crystal Palace, aren't you? And taking your chances. I think Vardy had a few chances. I think Daka had a couple. Samari at the crossbar. But yeah, Leicester was in control in the first half. If we'd taken our chances, I think we score a few goals. But yeah, when the bad at the time, it just reminded me of that game when we played Crystal Palace at the start of the season, where it's like two different games in each half. Where Leicester's on top in the first half, and then Palace take control in the second half. But then, yeah, they put us to bed. They showed the quality. Leicester just couldn't do what they wanted to do. We just keep taking the two best players off and leaving the oldest players on. It's not Ruud van Nistelrooy. The players aren't good enough. I agree. The defence, I'm going to give you a stat now, Russ, regarding this game. So Leicester City are without a clean sheet in their last 16 in all competition. We've won 1 in the last 13 in the Premier League. Our last win before West Ham was Southampton away.
Wow.
Leicester have the third worst defence on record in the Premier League with 46 goals conceded in 21 games. Leicester are coming into this game with no wins in their previous 4 home matches in the Premier League and have not scored in their last 3 at the King Power Stadium. To add to the defensive woes, Leicester have conceded first in 6 of their previous 8 matches in all competition. Fulham have shown confidence on the road lately, suffering just one defeat in their last 5 away games. Additionally, the visitors have triumphed in the previous 3 encounters between the two teams. So Fulham are unbeaten in the last 3 against Leicester, I believe.
Yep.
Madness. What do you make of them stats? Does that give you more confidence going into this game, or do you still kind of think to yourself, hold on a minute, we can't overlook Leicester?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say this. They shouldn't overlook Leicester at all. That's number one. Okay? Because like you said, it's an unforgiving league, and I respect Leicester City, so I'm not going to tell you that this is not a walkover for Fulham. I would never, ever say that, Jack, because I respect the opponent here, respect Leicester City. I will say this, based on the stats that you just said, Fulham are classic front runners, Jack. They do give up a lot of points from winning positions. They do that, but they like to try to play from ahead. So they're going to do everything that they can to get that first goal. And if they do that, then they have a very good chance of winning this match. So I think they put a lot of effort in dominating the play like we did against West Ham. And then they got 2 sucker punches off of Fulham errors. But again, they have a very good knack of getting that first goal. So I could see that happening in this match. And then it'll be on Leicester City to respond. Now, if it's in the reverse, I think that in a way would not be a bad thing for Fulham, even if they go down a goal, because we just saw it against West Ham. They showed some resilience coming back, even though they got nothing from it. So there are some positive signs with my club. There definitely are. But when I look at what's going on with your team, what's a good sign for my team is that they were humbled against West Ham. So that's why I feel that I have a good feeling about this, that there will be this response, and they will not take your team lightly, and they never should. They ever should take your team lightly. I think there have been matches where Fulham went into it thinking that they could just dominate and win the game. I can mention Southampton. We had Southampton at home, my friend. They should have destroyed Southampton, and it did not happen. I'm hoping that they've learned from that coming into this match, that you cannot take anyone lightly. And I'm going to say this right now. If your team decides to take it to Fulham, that's going to benefit Fulham. That's going to totally benefit Fulham, because I think when Fulham are dominating the ball, that's what Marco Silva wants. Fulham have struggled to break down teams. So if you come at Fulham or you are trying to control the play and you lose the ball, then I think that's where Fulham could really take advantage of Leicester City. I know that's simplistic, but in a way, even though I want them to have more of the ball, in certain matches, I'm fine with it. If you look at why they've done so well against Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, it's because they have not had the majority of the ball. They are great on the counter. So when you ask them to have the ball and dominate the play, they struggle. They struggle to break down teams.
Yeah, that's been our main issue defensively this season. I mean, the thing is with us, I've seen it against Crystal Palace. We'll have enough chances, but we're not scoring. Yeah. And then this is our problem at the weekend, where I think to myself, with Leicester, it's like we barely go in front at times. You know, it's like teams always go one ahead, and then we just end up folding, you know. And Rude, after the game, says, you know, people speak about these decent performances in the last whatever games before the Crystal Palace game, but he said it's about getting points. You know, if you're not getting points, then it doesn't matter. You know, he feels right. This relegation battle is going to get down to the final day. I think looking at these types of games, you know, if you can get a point or even 3 points, then, you know, fantastic. But it just feels with Leicester, it's like, where do the points come from? Because, you know, we're not taking our chances. We're conceding goals like it's no one's business. I mean, 46 goals in 21 games in the Premier League. It's quite something, isn't it, to concede that many goals. It shows how complacent we are. We're not. It just, you know, we've got El Canus and Buonanotte, who I think have been fantastic for us this season. I think we are missing Mads Hermansen, who's been a pivotal part to keeping the goals out. But the defence itself, no matter who you put in the defence, whether it's Vestergaard, Fass, Cody, James Justin, Christensen, them types of players, it's just like they're not keeping the ball out, you know, and it's just them. It's just the mistakes that we keep making over and over again. You get what I mean? I mean, you watch the first goal, what we conceded against Palace, where Mavridi's got the ball, just weak on the ball, just gives it away. No one's tracking Saul, plays it to Mateta. They score. Vestergaard weak again, though. Our defence at this minute in time is a championship defence. It's the same back four we've played this season that took us down to the championship in the first place 2 seasons ago. So we've not improved. I mean, the talk about with Ruud van Nistelrooy backing him in the transfer window and this, that and the other, but I know we've brought in Wayo Koulibaly, who I don't really know much about him. I can't judge until I see a lot more of him in a Leicester shirt, but yeah, it just feels like we're not doing enough. It's like we're not eager enough to compete. Do you get what I mean? And
I totally
we're relying on bloody Jamie Vardy all the time because we've not got strikers good enough to play the game.
Yeah, I get that, Jack. But I will say this again. I don't think you're out of this. I would not give up yet. but you do have to win matches against a team like Crystal Palace. That I will agree with, because one, they're crap. I'm going to say it right now. Crystal Palace are not a good side. So that was a missed opportunity. But you got to start getting points. I mean, there are teams around you that I think you can pass. I'm going to say it right now. Wolves, even though they beat Fulham, not a good side.
Battered us, I know.
I'm just saying that.
Worst home game of the season, Ross. I'm telling you that 3-0 defeat against them, and we just laid down.
I hear you, Jack. I hear.
Yeah, they have decent run of form. But the thing is, Ross, in the Premier League, your home form's got to be the key part of staying up, hasn't it? You've got to get enough points. Totally if you can't do it at home or even away, where do you start asking the questions?
No, I totally agree. What's interesting for me from a Fulham perspective, Fulham are better right now, Jack, on the road. I mean, that's crazy for me to say that Craven Cottage has not been a fortress. It was last season and was the season before. But right now they are struggling at Craven Cottage. It's terrible. I mean, and that's also an issue why they are 10th and not 6th or 7th. But to your point, they're actually not that far off. I keep waiting for the moment for it to click. Like I said, I thought it was going to be that Chelsea victory. And it didn't go off that way. They didn't build on that. They had Bournemouth draw, and then Ipswich Town draw, and now you have the loss. So I'm hoping that the loss is actually, like I said, a kick in the teeth, a kick in the stomach, that we're not going to accept this crap anymore. And now we're going to start winning. That's what I hope of. We shall see. We've got Manchester United at home, who I just want to beat just because I want to see them in a relegation battle, honestly. Plus, I want Fulham to win. So I want Manchester United to keep losing, even though they won last night, or the night before. So,
yes, it's one of the thing is with Leicester is I just don't think we've got enough Premier League quality in this squad, and January was always going to be massive for us, to be fair. But then, I think when you keep playing the ball around the back, you're being pressed all the time, and the players are just not at the level, and people say, but Rude's not really better than Steve Cooper, is he? You know what I mean? But with Steve Cooper, the guy never had an identity. And this is what got me with Cooper. He should never been appointed Leicester's manager in the first place. Rude's job was always going to be difficult coming into the side that he's got at Leicester. He's had to deal with what he's got. The cards have been played now. So, we've just got to get on with it. But
I agree.
I think with us, we're kind of looking over our shoulder here. It's like, how many points are we actually going to get, and how many points are going to keep you up this season? But it just doesn't seem to be getting any better. I know people are sitting out, but some of the decent performances, but the points is what matters. If you're not getting them points, then performances don't matter. It's how you build. And that Palace game should have been something to build on, like a platform wise. I think if Vardy scores one of them at least in the first half, we probably could go on and win the game. But we know what Leicester's like, and such a good YouTube channel. Keep it up, mate. We're the easiest team to play against when you're trying to bounce back off a poor run of games.
Okay.
When he took El Canoes off in Buonanotte against Palace, did that signal he'd given up hope for anything in that game. This is it. And I say with Buonanotte and El Canoes, they're going to be the key players in this game going into it. But then with us, it's the case of Daka's just not Premier League quality, in my opinion. And, we've had 8 years to find a Jamie Vardy replacement, and we haven't got one. We've not got someone who can come in and learn from the man himself. And, there's only so much time you can rely on a striker.
Yeah.
Jamie Vardy's 38 now, isn't it? Sometimes you need players to come in and let him have a little bit of a rest sometimes, isn't it? Stop letting him do everything. And Cooper was a snap decision, annoyance by top that Potter has asked for another 48 hours to decide. Daka is not full quality. Mate, I don't even think our defence is bloody football quality. It's bloody rate the amount of goals we conceded. But I'm hoping we can make it tough for Fulham, but it just feels like if Fulham get going through the gears, then it could be an uncomfortable afternoon for Leicester, in my opinion, here, because there's no confidence in this squad whatsoever now. It's like it's been well knocked from that QPR game, but I think Traore, Iwobi, Smith Rowe, Jimenez, them types of players are going to be all massive problems on Saturday.
Well, I'll give you one other player, and I'm glad you named them. Harry Wilson is a player I'd be concerned about too.
He's been in form this season, hasn't he?
He's been in very good form. So to the point where Traore's been coming off the bench because Wilson has taken over that position. So Wilson actually has been very good. I can't say enough good things about him.
You remember Collins, John Russ?
I do.
Collins, Archie asks, why do you support Fulham, Russ?
That's a great question. I get this still probably once a week. I get this question, so I'll give you the 30-second answer. I live here in the Boston area. Clint Dempsey played for the New England Revolution. He came to the Premier League and he went to Fulham. And I was trying to find a team that was my own, and I followed him to Craven Cottage, and that's how my love of Fulham began. But that was just the starting point. Dempsey was the starting point, and then I just fell in love with the club. So the easy answer is Clint Dempsey, but that's the 30-second answer. But it goes a lot deeper than that because you still have to really love the club and understand the club. And it was a perfect fit for me the more I learned about Fulham.
Yeah, it's an interesting subject there, armchair mate, to be fair. Is Cannon back to be sold? Well, Tom Cannon is going to be sold by Leicester. It is believed £10 million plus £3 million in bonuses if Sheffield United go up and that. So, yeah, Tom Cannon will be sold. Russ, let's have a look at the last 5 head-to-head at the KP.
Okay.
Played 5. You guys have won 3 to our 1. And 1 draw.
Not another draw.
Last time I had the KP was a 1-0 win for you lot. Which
I remember that. Yeah.
I think it was Mitrovic scored for Fulham. Was it that night?
I think so. It's funny. I'm trying to remember. That was actually, if I remember correctly, that was a couple of seasons ago. So yes.
2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And we were pretty good that day, if I remember correctly. We were pretty good.
We were shocking in that game and all. The thing is, Fulham's got a good record against us going into this game, you know. They'll feel confident going into this, but then, you know, it's about our Leicester turn up. But I remember the game where Adimo Lukman scored. I think it was a penalty for you lot before he came to Leicester.
Yep.
I think we were unbeaten going into that. I think that was COVID season. Hopefully we're looking at back of a striker. Yeah, sign the dog up. Yeah, we need someone who is like a Vardy style player. It's like Vardy's just like one of a kind, isn't it? Leicester forever. Yeah. This is the thing. I was hoping that Daka would be sold. He's no use. Well, we've got Bloody Hodgson-Edouard, who's what are Atlanta like, Russ? Obviously, you know the MLS quite well, don't you? Living in America. What are Atlanta like? Obviously, they've apparently bidded £15 million for Hodgson-Edouard, who's obviously a Crystal Palace player by loan at Leicester. Right. What type of team are they? I'd take him over there if I'm honest with you. If it were me.
Okay, so I would say Atlanta's a team because of their supporter base, which is massive. They actually can fill up their place where they play like 40, 50,000 if they really want to. They have a rabid supporter base. So they are willing to spend money. That's why that doesn't surprise me. And so for me, they're a team that keeps going up and down a little bit, but I always fear Atlanta United. I always fear them because I think that they're well run by their ownership and they want to win. So they're always looking for a big name. That's something that they always do. So this talk doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think every Leicester fan would accept Atalanta's money if it were Leicester selling him and not Crystal Palace. But I think
Right.
Leicester kind of want to see the back of Edouard, to be honest, Russ.
I get it.
He's not featured in the team.
Oh,
He's on 90 grand a week.
yeah.
What Leicester's paying him,
Yeah.
he's just not there to be
Well,
in at all.
Well, Jack, if I'm being honest, if a player is being linked to MLS, and I'm just in general terms, because people always ask me, what is the level of MLS? And every single season, I'm honest, it gets a little better each and every season.
Yeah.
It is not, at this point, I don't think it is top level championship level yet. I don't think it's there. It's probably in the middle of the pack in the championship. I'm talking about the level of play. So it's not even there. I would say even 4 or 5 years ago, it was League One. So now I think it's jumped to the middle of the pack in the championship, but it still has a long way to go. So if you're a player like this, you're going to dominate. You're going to dominate in MLS because the level of play is so bad. Well, not bad, but it's just not at that level. I mean, you got Messi. I mean, Messi doesn't have to do anything to score goals.
No.
He really doesn't, because it's just, even at his age, he eats breakfast, goes to play, and scores 3 goals. I mean, he doesn't really. I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to pay 90 grand a week, but he's not surplus to requirements at Leicester, Edouard. Are we still relying for players to go to free up squad? Yeah, we are. Apparently, Leicester can only buy players and that, and loan players as soon as they've sent Edouard back to Palace, and we can only buy players when we've sold players, like sent Chowdhury out and Tom Cannon, and obviously there's been talk about Luke Thomas. The famous words from a Seattle fan: "Fight to win." Give him a chance. That's what we need to do. I can't lie. Let's see what he's like. Mate, I'd take bloody Latte Laugh at Leicester. I think he'd be a good striker for us. I think he's one that I looked at last season, but we'll see what happens. English clubs are interested in him. So are Atalanta, so it means to be interesting. But the starting 11, Russ. How does Fulham line up for this one? Any injuries at all?
Okay, so Fulham are dealing with a few injuries. There was some good news from Marcos Presser, because I think Fulham have not been the same side since Sander Berge got hurt. I think that has also affected them. Obviously, you have the injury to Tete, and a sneaky bad loss was Reece Nelson going down about a month ago with a hamstring. He is close to returning, but he will not be involved in this match. So we have a couple players close to returning. Berge is back in training, but I doubt that he's going to be starting. I don't think he's going to be involved. I would love for him to be involved, because I think Lukic and Berge together, I think once they're together, Fulham are going to be starting pushing forward, and I think you're going to see a major change with my club. But I don't expect him to start. If he's going to do anything, it'll be coming off the bench. So my starting 11 will be, it's going to be Castagna. I think he's going to stick with Anderson and go with Bassi. Robinson on the left. On the right, it's going to be Iwobi. I'm sorry, on the left, Iwobi. On the right, Harry Wilson. This is where it gets interesting. Okay. I think he's going to go. He's going to stick with this. He's going to go with Lukic, Pereira, and Smith Rowe. If you're asking me, I'd be changing Smith Rowe because he just hasn't been playing well. And you play the youngster Josh King, but he's not going to do that. And he'll play Raul Jimenez up front. And Raul Jimenez has actually played very well.
Goalkeeper.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about Leno.
If you want to
there's a Goldman for you. There's a Goldman. No. Yeah, sure. Fulham are going to play with no goalkeeper. There you go.
Yeah, if Leno wants to not decide to play against Leicester and you want to get 10 men, Russ, that's happily for me, mate. That's good advantage for us. We'd probably still lose.
Yeah.
We can't. So
that's what I'm going with.
I think Leicester, Jesus. I mean, I'd put a bloody double-decker bus in front of goal, if I'm honest with you, regarding Leicester. I think that's what we'd probably be looking at, to be fair, because we can't defend for Toffee. Stelosic in goal. Vestergaard and Wout Fast. I tell you what, he might take Vestergaard out and put Connor Cody back in. He'll go with Christensen and Justin. I think he's just going to stick with them for this game. But then we might see Woyo Koulibaly come in if he's good and ready to play. So he'll probably replace Christensen and put James Justin at left back. Mavididi with Winks in Samore, Buonanotte, El Canus, Jamie Vardy. I think he's going to stick with Vardy for this one. I think we should play 3 at the back and wing backs. I agree. I mean, we could have played the Caleb Bakoli maybe, or play Connor Cody in the back 3 with Fast and Vestergaard and play, Koulibaly and Justin down them wings. I just don't think Christensen's good enough, to be honest. He's not impressed me at all this season, to be fair. Russ, score prediction for this one. Where do you go with this?
Okay, so I'm going to say this right now, and this is no disrespect to your club.
Yeah.
I just want to say it, but if I don't predict this, I think I'm not being fair to my club either. So I think that there is going to be response. I think it's still going to be difficult, even though my score prediction is going to sound like it's not, but I'm going to say 3-1 to Fulham, but I don't think it's going to be an easy 3-1. I think you're going to make it hard on Fulham. But I think that as you're talking to me about this, that defensively, I think we're going to get through you and score 2 or 3 goals. So I'm going 3-1, but we'll see what happens.
Everyone in the comments, get your score predictions in. Let me know your initial thoughts of this one. Are you confident going into this game? Are you not? I mean, you could be watching this through bloody fingers, to be fair. So, 1-1. Yeah, I mean, I could probably see a 1-1, to be fair. 2-1 Leicester. So, yeah, I'll always back my team.
Yeah, I get it.
I want to see us stay up, but I just don't think the squad's good enough. Dawn says another loss for Leicester. Jesus. Or 2-1, I don't know. 2-2, and we have to be happy with the bloody point. Yeah. I tell you what, I'm going to sit on the fence for this. I'm going to go for a draw.
Okay.
I'm going to go for a 2-2. I'm going to stick with Ray. Michael's gone 3-0 Fulham.
Thank you, Michael.
It won't bloody surprise us, to be fair, if we didn't bloody take our chances. 1-0 Leicester, last minute squeaky bum time, 2-0.
Okay.
I tell you what, I'm going to go with. I'm going to switch to 2. So I'm going to go 2-1 Leicester.
Okay.
But I think it could be initially a draw. So yeah, as long as we get something out of the game, I think I'd be happy with it, to be honest. As long as we put in a good performance, which I think that's what we hope for, fingers crossed. But if we don't, then and we start playing the way we have done in very recent games, we could probably get an idea in this if we give Fulham the chances and we make too many mistakes. So it's a win or Smith Rowe last 5 minutes. Yeah, 2-1. But yeah, let's see what happens. But Ross, thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. Let everybody know what you do regarding Fulham Football Club.
Sure. And listen, Jack, thank you as always for having me on. I really appreciate coming on your show. And I do hope you stay up because I want to be doing this again with you next year. So what's next season? So let's hope that Leicester City stay in the Premier League. But I'll just tell everyone, if you're interested, please follow me on X on Cottage Talk. You can follow me there. I would really appreciate a subscription to subscribe on the Cottage Talk YouTube channel. That would be great. Or, like I said, you can listen to the show on any podcast app. Please do check it out. I do a post-match show, but I do a Patreon page, but I'm not going to ask your supporters to subscribe to the Patreon page, but please do check out the app and please do like and subscribe the Cottage Talk YouTube channel.
Appreciate it. Cheers, Ross.
All right.
All the best after Saturday, mate, for the rest of the season.
You too, Jack. You too.
Cheers. Take care. That was Russ Goldman from Cottage Talk. Good chat as always to catch up with Russ. So Leicester City take on Fulham in an absolutely vital game. And it like I said, this could be very make or break for Leicester City's season, this game. And we've got to respond. We have to. We've got to find a way. But let's see what happens and let's see if the boys can actually go and turn up and take the chances against Fulham. But yeah, it's now or never for Leicester. Let's be fair. 2 weeks left in the window as well. We need some effing players through the door, if I'm honest with you, you know. I mean, tough game on Saturday for sure. It's one of them. Yeah, not many games left of the season at all. Second half of the season, yeah, to be fair, SK won't get the good atmosphere going, mate. We need to really back the boys at the weekend, be that 12th man and push them on, and hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully we can get something. So yeah, I've gone 2-1 for the game, and fingers crossed we can get that, and yeah, see what happens. Can we have the fog back so we can't see the, well, I'm afraid not, Michael. I don't think the weather's forecast that for the weekend, but yeah, when someone mentions about bloody clean sheets for Leicester, it's like bloody winning the lottery, innit, you know? So, yeah, that's it then. Match day vlog will be out after the Fulham game, so be sure to give that a watch. Comment on it. Let me know what you feel, what thoughts are. I think we've got Tottenham next week. Man United has been confirmed. That'll be played on the Friday, I believe. Is it the 7th of Feb? So, yeah, go and see you at that one as well, depending on bloody ticket prices. I think it was like 40 odd quid last time we went there. So, they rip the fans off left, right, and centre, don't they? You know, it just don't feel like football anymore. It feels like a business. But right, Fulham at home Saturday. Bring it on. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Come on, the Foxes. Keep it here at the final whistle. Hi all. Thank you for watching the final whistle. If you enjoy all our content, please remember to smash a like, share, and subscribe to the channel.